The reading of the most set-apart scripture, Genesis through Revelation, the second book of the Torah, Shemoth, also known as Exodus. Chapter 7. So YAHUAH said to Moshe, "See, I have made you an Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aaron, your brother, is your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, to let the children of Israel go out of his land. But I am going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, and shall increase my signs and my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh is not going to listen to you, and I shall lay my hand on Mitzrayim, and bring my divisions and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Mitzrayim by great judgments. And the Mitzrites shall know that I am YAHUAH when I stretch out my hand on Mitzrayim, and I shall bring the children of Israel out from among them." And Moshe and Aaron did as YAHUAH commanded them, so they did. Now Moshe was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. And YAHUAH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, "When Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, 'Show a miracle for yourselves,' then you shall say to Aaron, 'Take your rod and throw it before Pharaoh, and let it become a serpent.'" So Moshe and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they did so as YAHUAH commanded. And Aaron threw his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh also called the wise men and the practicers of witchcraft, and they, the magicians of Mitzrayim, also did so with their magic. And they, each one, threw down his rod, and they became serpents. But the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods. And Pharaoh's heart was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YAHUAH had said. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "The heart of Pharaoh is hard. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the water, and you shall stand by the river's bank to meet him, and take in your hand the rod which was turned into a serpent. And you shall say to him, 'YAHUAH, the Elohim of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, so that they serve me in the wilderness. But see, until now you have not listened. Thus said YAHUAH, by this you know that I am YAHUAH. See, I am striking the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Mitzrites shall find it impossible to drink the water of the river." And YAHUAH spoke to Moshe, "Say to Aaron, take your rod and stretch out your hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, over their streams, over their rivers, over their ponds, and over all their pools of water, that they become blood. and there shall be blood in all the land of Mitzrayim, both in wooden and in stone containers. And Moshe and Aaron did so, as YAHUAH commanded. And he lifted up the rod and struck the waters that were in the river in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank, and the Mitzrites were unable to drink the water of the river. And the blood was in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians of Mitzrayim did the same with their magic. And the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YAHUAH had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and his heart was not moved by this either. And all the Mitzrites dug all around the river for water to drink, for they were unable to drink the water of the river. And 7 days were completed after YAHUAH had struck the river. Chapter 8. And YAHUAH spoke to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus said YAHUAH, let my people go, so that they serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, see, I am smiting all your borders with frogs, and the river shall swarm with frogs, which shall go up and shall come into your house and into your bedroom and on your bed and into the houses of your servants and on your people and into your ovens and into your kneading bowls. And the frogs shall come up on you and on your people and on all your servants." And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up on the land of Mitzrayim." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did so with their magic, and brought up frogs on the land of Mitzrayim. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, "Pray to YAHUAH to take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I shall let the people go to slaughter to YAHUAH." And Moshe said to Pharaoh, "Explain yourself to me. When am I to pray for you and for your servants and for your people to destroy the frogs from you and your houses and remain only in the river?" So he said, "Tomorrow." And he said, "Let it be according to your word, so that you know that there is no one like YAHUAH, our Elohim. And the frogs shall turn aside from you, and from your houses, and from your servants, and from your people. They shall remain in the river only." And Moshe and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moshe cried out to YAHUAH concerning the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And YAHUAH did according to the word of Moshe, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the courtyards, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. And when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to them, as YAHUAH had said. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, Say to Aaron, stretch out your rod and strike the dust of the land, so that it becomes gnats in all the land of Mitzrayim. And they did so. And Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and struck the dust of the earth, and it became gnats on man and beast. All the dust of the land became gnats in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did similarly with their magic to bring forth gnats, but they were unable. And there were gnats on man and beast. The magicians then said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of Elohim." But the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YAHUAH had said. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and say to him, 'Thus said YAHUAH, let my people go, so that they serve me. Or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending swarms of flies on you and your servants, and on your people, and into your houses, and the houses of the Mitzrites shall be filled with swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. And in that day I shall separate the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, so that you know that I am YAHUAH in the midst of the land. And I shall put a ransom between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be." And YAHUAH did so, and thick swarms of flies came into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Mitzrayim, and the land was ruined because of the swarms of flies. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, "Go slaughter to your Elohim in the land." And Moshe said, "It is not right to do so, for we would be slaughtering the abomination of the Mitzrites to YAHUAH, our Elohim. See, if we slaughter the abomination of the Mitzrites before their eyes, would they not stone us? Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, then we shall slaughter to YAHUAH, our Elohim, as he commands us." And Pharaoh said, "I am letting you go. Then you shall slaughter to YAHUAH, your Elohim, in the wilderness. Only do not go very far away. Pray for me." And Moshe said, "See, when I leave you, I shall pray to YAHUAH, and tomorrow the swarms of flies shall depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. But do not let Pharaoh again deceive, not to let the people go to slaughter to YAHUAH." And Moshe went out from Pharaoh and prayed to YAHUAH. And YAHUAH did according to the word of Moshe, and removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained. But Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time too, and did not let the people go. Chapter 9. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "Go into Pharaoh and speak to him. Thus said YAHUAH, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, so that they serve me. For if you refuse to let them go and are still holding them, see, the hand of YAHUAH is on your livestock in the field, on the horses, on the donkeys, on the camels, on the cattle, and on the sheep, a very grievous pestilence. And YAHUAH shall separate between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Mitzrayim, and let no matter die of all that belongs to the children of Israel. And YAHUAH set an appointed time, saying, tomorrow YAHUAH is going to do this word in the land. And YAHUAH did this word on the next day, and all the livestock of Mitzrayim died, but of the livestock of the children of Israel not one died. Then Pharaoh sent, and see, not even one of the livestock of Israel was dead. The heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And YAHUAH said to Moshe and Aaron, fill your hands with ashes from a furnace, and let Moshe scatter it toward the heavens before the eyes of Pharaoh. And it shall become fine dust in all the land of Mitzrayim, and it shall cause boils that break out in sores on man and beast in all the land of Mitzrayim. So they took ashes from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moshe scattered them toward the heavens, and they caused boils breaking out in sores on man and beast. And the magicians were unable to stand before Moshe because of the boils, for the boils were on the magicians and on all the Mitzrites. But YAHUAH strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not listen to them, as YAHUAH had said to Moshe. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and say to him, thus said YAHUAH, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, so that they serve me. For at this time I am sending all my plagues unto your heart, and on your servants, and on your people, so that you know that there is no one like me in all the earth. Now, if I had stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, then you would have been cut off from the earth. And for this reason, I have raised you up in order to show you my power, and in order to declare my name in all the earth. You still exalt yourself against my people, in that you do not let them go. See, tomorrow about this time I am causing very heavy hail to rain down, such as has not been in Mitzrayim from the day of its founding until now. And now send, bring your livestock to safety, and all that you have in the field, for the hail shall come down on every man and every beast which is found in the field, and is not brought home, and they shall die. Those among the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of YAHUAH made their servants and livestock flee to the houses. But those who did not set their heart on the word of YAHUAH left their servants and livestock in the field. Then YAHUAH said to Moshe, stretch out your hand toward the heavens, and let there be hail in all the land of Mitzrayim, on man and on beast, and on every plant of the field throughout the land of Mitzrayim. Then Moshe stretched out his rod toward the heavens, and YAHUAH sent thunder and hail, and fire came down to the earth, and YAHUAH rained hail on the land of Mitzrayim. Thus there came to be hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy, such as had not been in all the land of Mitzrayim since it became a nation. And the hail struck in all the land of Mitzrayim, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail struck every plant of the field and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, there was no hail. Pharaoh then sent and called for Moshe and for Aaron, and said to them, I have sinned this time. YAHUAH is righteous, and my people and I are wrong. Pray to YAHUAH, for there has been enough of the thunder and hail of Elohim, and I am letting you go so that you stay no longer. And Moshe said to him, As soon as I go out of the city, let me spread out my hands to YAHUAH. Let the thunder cease and the hail be no more, so that you know that the earth belongs to YAHUAH. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear before YAHUAH Elohim. And the flax and the barley were struck, for the barley was in the head, and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they were late crops. And Moshe went out of the city from Pharaoh and spread out his hands to YAHUAH. And the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain was not poured on the earth. And Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased. Yet he sinned again, and he hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not let the children of Israel go, as YAHUAH had said through Moshe. Chapter 10. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, Go in to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I show these signs of mine before him, and that you relate in the hearing of your son and your son's son what I have done in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, and you shall know that I am YAHUAH. And Moshe and Aaron came in to Pharaoh and said to him, Thus said YAHUAH, Elohim of the Hebrews, till when shall you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, so that they serve me. Or else, if you refuse to let my people go, see, tomorrow I am bringing locusts within your borders, and they shall cover the surface of the land, so that no one is able to see the land. And they shall eat the rest of what has escaped, which remains to you from the hail. And they shall eat every tree which grows up for you out of the field. And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Mitzrites, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen since the day that they were on the earth to this day. Then he turned and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, "Till when would this one be a snare to us? Let the men go, so that they serve YAHUAH, their Elohim. Do you not yet know that Mitzrayim is destroyed?" And Moshe and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go, serve YAHUAH, your Elohim." "Who are the ones that are going?" And Moshe said, "We are going with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds. We are going, for we have a festival to YAHUAH." And he said to them, "Let YAHUAH be with you, as I let you and your little ones go. Watch, for evil is before your face. Not so. You men go now and serve YAHUAH, for that is what you desired." And they were driven out from the presence of Pharaoh. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Mitzrayim, for the locust to come upon the land of Mitzrayim, and eat every plant of the land, all that the hail has left." And Moshe stretched out his rod over the land of Mitzrayim, and YAHUAH brought an east wind on the land all that day and all that night. Morning came, and the east wind brought the locust, and the locust went up over all the land of Mitzrayim, and settled within all the borders of Mitzrayim. Very grievous. There had never been locusts like them before, nor would there again be like them. And they covered the surface of all the land, so that the land was darkened, and they ate every plant of the land and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left, and no greenness was left on the trees or on the plants of the field in all the land of Mitzrayim. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron in haste and said, "I have sinned against YAHUAH, your Elohim, and against you. And now, please forgive my sin only this once, and pray to YAHUAH, your Elohim, that he would only turn away this death from me." And he went out from Pharaoh and prayed to YAHUAH. And YAHUAH turned a very strong west wind, which took the locust away and blew them into the sea of reeds. Not one locust was left within all the borders of Mitzrayim. However, YAHUAH strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not let the children of Israel go. And YAHUAH said to Moshe, "Stretch out your hand toward the heavens, and let there be darkness over the land of Mitzrayim, even a darkness which is felt." And Moshe stretched out his hand toward the heavens, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Mitzrayim for 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days, while all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called to Moshe and said, "Go, serve YAHUAH. Only leave your flocks and your herds behind. Let your little ones go with you too." But Moshe said, "You yourself are to provide us with slaughterings and ascending offerings, to prepare for YAHUAH our Elohim." and our livestock are to go with us, too. Not a hoof is to be left behind, for we have to take some of them to serve Yahuwah, our Elohim. And we ourselves do not know with what we are to serve Yahuwah until we come there. However, Yahuwah strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said to him, "Get away from me. Watch yourself and see my face no more, for in the day you see my face, you die." And Moshe said, "You have spoken rightly. Never again do I see your face." Chapter 11. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, "I am bringing yet one more plague on Pharaoh and on Mitzrayim. After that, he is going to let you go from here. When he lets you go, he shall drive you out from here altogether. Speak now in the hearing of the people, and let every man ask from his neighbor, and every woman from her neighbor, objects of silver and objects of gold." And Yahuwah gave the people favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites. And the man Moshe was very great in the land of Mitzrayim, in the eyes of Pharaoh's servants, and in the eyes of the people. And Moshe said, "Thus said Yahuwah, about midnight I am going out into the midst of Mitzrayim, and all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne, even to the firstborn of the female servant who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of cattle. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, such as has never been or ever shall be again. But against any of the children of Yisrael, no dog shall move its tongue against man or against beast, so that you know that Yahuwah makes distinction between Mitzrayim and Yisrael. And all these servants of yours shall come down to me and bow down to me, saying, Get out, you and all the people at your feet. And after that I shall go out." And he went out from Pharaoh in great displeasure. But Yahuwah said to Moshe, "Pharaoh is not going to listen to you in order to multiply my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim." And Moshe and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh. However, Yahuwah strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not let the children of Israel go out of his land. Chapter 12. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, "This new moon is the beginning of new moons for you. It is the first new moon of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Yisrael, saying, On the 10th day of this new moon, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beings, according to each man's need, you make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same new moon. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slay it between the evenings, and they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its inward parts, and do not leave of it until morning. And what remains of it until morning you are to burn with fire. And this is how you eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is the Pasah of YAHUAH. And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast, and on all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim I shall execute judgment. I am YAHUAH, and the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim. And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to YAHUAH throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day is a set-apart gathering, and on the 7th day you shall have a set-apart gathering. No work at all is done on them, only that which is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared by you. And you shall guard the festival of Matzot, for on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim. And you shall guard this day throughout your generations, an everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new moon, in the evening you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the new moon in the evening. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. Do not eat that which is leavened. In all your dwellings you are to eat unleavened bread. And Moshe called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, Go out and take lambs for yourselves according to your clans, and slay the Pasah. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And you none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. And YAHUAH shall pass on to smite the Mitzrites, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts. And YAHUAH shall pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And you shall guard this word as a law for you and your sons forever. And it shall be when you come to the land which YAHUAH gives you, as he promised, that you shall guard this service. And it shall be when your children say to you, what does this service mean to you? Then you shall say, it is the Pasah, slaughtering of YAHUAH, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrites and delivered our households. And the people bowed their heads and did obeisance. And the children of Israel went away and did so, as YAHUAH had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. And it came to be at midnight that YAHUAH struck all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Mitzrites. And there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not a dead one. Then he called for Moshe and Aaron by night, and said, Arise, go out from the midst of my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go serve YAHUAH as you have said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and go. Then you shall bless me too. And the Mitzrites were strong on the people to hasten to send them away out of the land. For they said, We are all dying. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, having their kneading bowls bound up in their garments on their shoulders. And the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moshe, and they had asked from the Mitzrites objects of silver and objects of gold and garments. And YAHUAH gave the people favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites, so that they gave them what they asked, and they plundered the Mitzrites. And the children of Israel set out from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot, besides the little ones. And a mixed multitude went up with them too, also flocks and herds, very much livestock. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, since they were driven out of Mitzrayim, and had not been able to delay, nor had they prepared food for themselves. And the sojourn of the children of Israel, who lived in Mitzrayim, was 430 years. And it came to be at the end of the 430 years, on that same day, it came to be that all the divisions of YAHUAH went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night of watches unto YAHUAH for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim. This is that night of watches unto YAHUAH for all the children of Israel throughout their generations. And Yahuwah said to Moshe and Aaron, this is the law of the Passah. No son of a foreigner is to eat of it, but any servant a man has bought for silver, when you have circumcised him, let him eat of it. A settler and a hired servant does not eat of it. It is eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the flesh outside the house, nor are you to break any bone of it. All the congregation of Yisrael are to perform it. And when a sojourner sojourns with you and shall perform the Passah to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised, and then let them come near and perform it. And he shall be as a native of the land. But let no uncircumcised eat of it. There is one Torah for the native born and for the sojourner who sojourns among you. And all the children of Israel did as Yahuwah commanded Moshe and Aaron. So they did. And it came to be on that same day that Yahuwah brought the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim, according to their divisions. Chapter 13. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, set apart to me all the firstborn, the one opening the womb among the children of Yisrael, among man and beast, among man and among beast, it is mine. And Moshe said to the people, remember this day in which you went out of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. For by strength of hand Yahuwah brought you out of this place, and whatever is leavened shall not be eaten. Today you are going out in the new moon of Abib. And it shall be when Yahuwah brings you into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this new moon. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day is a festival to Yahuwah. Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you, and leaven is not to be seen with you within all your border. And you shall inform your son in that day, saying, it is because of what Yahuwah did for me when I came up from Mitzrayim, and it shall be a sign to you on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes that the Torah of Yahuwah is to be in your mouth. For with a strong hand Yahuwah has brought you out of Mitzrayim, and you shall guard this law at its appointed time from year to year. And it shall be when Yahuwah brings you into the land of the Canaanites, as he swore to you and your fathers, and gives it to you, that you shall give over to Yahuwah every one opening the womb, and every firstborn that comes from your livestock. The males belong to Yahuwah. But every firstborn of a donkey you are to ransom with a lamb. And if you do not ransom it, then you shall break its neck, and every firstborn of man among your sons you are to ransom. And it shall be when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What is this? Then you shall say to him, By strength of hand, YAHUAH brought us out of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. And it came to be, when Pharaoh was too hardened to let us go, that YAHUAH killed every firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I am slaughtering to YAHUAH every male that opens the womb, but every firstborn of my sons I ransom. And it shall be as a sign on your hand, and as frontlets between your eyes, for by strength of hand YAHUAH brought us out of Mitzrayim. And it came to be, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, though that was nearer. For Elohim said, Lest the people regret when they see fighting and return to Mitzrayim. So Elohim led the people around by way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds, and the children of Israel went up in fives from the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him, for he certainly made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from here with you. And they departed from Sukkot and camped in Etham at the edge of the wilderness. And YAHUAH went before them by day in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. The column of cloud did not cease by day, nor the column of fire by night before the people.